I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good day, LeAura Alderson. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful day?
Fantastic. Thank you, Angel. Very nice to be with you.
Same here. It's a great pleasure to connect with you. What part of the world are you in right now?
In North Carolina, USA.
Oh, sweet. I just came off with someone in South Carolina. So I'm right there. Sweet. Well, LeAura, please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting.
Podcasting, and in particular, engaging in meaningful conversations that inspire, motivate, and educate.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Tell us about your podcast, please.
Yes, I am co-host along with my daughter, Devani Alderson, of a new podcast called I Create Daily podcast.
And it is absolutely amazing. I got the opportunity to listen to that podcast. Wow, loved the questions. And you both make an amazing tag team.
Thank you very much. We have discovered that this is our passion intersected with purpose work, and we're loving it.
Who came up with the name for the podcast?
I did.
Oh, yeah, love it. So who did you learn the skills that were necessary to have meaningful conversations from?
So I've always had a strong interest in people and a yearning to connect on deeper levels, to know, to learn. I never outgrew the childlike mentality of always asking why.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I'm joking.
Yes, exactly. And why? Why is that? And what makes you do that? And what motivates you? So I've always had that. And then I was also, fortunately, as a teen, I was taught the art of conversation as a part of family engagement that we did on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's pretty intriguing. But you definitely listened pretty well, right? Like listening is a major part of conversational skills, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yes. That's and then the trick, as as a host, is listening with full, ears and not thinking about what we're going to say next.
Exactly.
And so in fact, on the podcast with my daughter Devani, it's that's one of the challenges for us. We don't have the exact structure that you have. So we do have a little bit of a guidelines, and then we get into conversation, and I just learned to release thinking about what it must be, what I want it to be, so that we can go wherever that conversation takes us, because otherwise we might miss it.
Yeah, which is a wild journey.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that though with your structure, from what I've gathered and seen from your interviews, you're balancing that perfectly, having the next question, but at the same time, listening and tuning into the opportunities along the way.
Yeah, you're correct. I've listened to many things that expressed how necessary it is not to have a templated format the way I do have one, but there are hacks that I do put in there. One of the hacks is I have the questions in front of me, I look at the questions, and it's only an anchor, if you would. So I look away and I'm listening, and then I go back to the next question, because it has to be 12 minutes only. So you're definitely on point. It just speaks to the listening that you do. Given that, why will you continue to repeat this skill, LeAura?
Because it is a large part of who I am.
Yeah.
I wanted as a child to sing, and I never had the voice for it. And because as a child, I became aware that, it was very powerful to move people with your voice. And I thought it was singing, and it, of course, didn't manifest for me. And I realized in later years that there are many ways to move people with your voice and the words you speak and the conversations you have.
What is one thing you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
Create daily, always creating content and ideating and writing down and keeping track of all those ideas.
Now, where is the best place for us to connect with everything you do with I Create Daily?
We have a website called icreatedaily.com or the icreatedailypodcast.com, and they both connect with each other.
And how does it make you feel to be creating content so often?
Totally privileged, grateful, appreciative, energized, and alive.
Yeah. There's someone listening that may have had that challenge where they wanted to express their voice in one particular way and they stopped. Why would you suggest to them that they do what you've done by not giving up and pivoting with it?
Because we must do the work of our soul. We must do the work that's important to us. If someone has stopped and they don't feel compelled to do that work anymore, then it's because maybe it wasn't actually their soul work, their deeper work. There's a difference, and this is one of the things we learn along the way, distinguishing between interest and purpose and the deeper things that move us. And there are two ways to discover this. One is if you feel like it's not working for you, you either find something figure out what it is that you spend your free time doing and daydreaming about and do that. But the other side of it, sometimes we don't do the work that is of our soul because it's hard. And the only way to push through that is to do something daily, even if it's one brief thing.
Love it. Amazing audience. We are live with LeAura Alderson. Hey, do check her out. She is the co-host, if you would, with her daughter, right? Which is pretty amazing because they gel tremendously well on the podcast I create daily. LeAura, let's switch gears for a moment and let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful warm blue Caribbean water. LeAura, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Well, it involves water, but it wasn't beautiful blue Caribbean. It was, my earliest memory was falling into a pond, and it was dark and cold.
Wow. So how old do you think you were?
3.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Because it combined all the elements of my life, which include defiance. I was told not to go near the pond, and I immediately did. Experience, because we learn through experiences and failing, and then learning how to move beyond that failing through the fear to learning from it and improving by it.
Wow, that is beautiful. Like, I got chills. Like, I could just drop the mic. You could continue the podcast. It's intriguing how things connect. I'm really, really fascinated by how things connect when you start doing things and being intentional. The young woman I spoke to before, actually, her earliest childhood memory is her being caught painting her face with her mother's lipstick. And, but her mother took a picture. Interestingly enough, she is an artist who really took off when she started taking pictures of her work.
Wow.
And it's intriguing to me after saying all of that, in that the pond and the just falling into that water, as much as it could seem scary, it's really fascinating to me how doing the wrong thing in the wrong time is wrong, but how it can impact you if you do the right thing at the right time. And for me, it's intriguing how that connects now that you are doing what you're doing and helping your daughter along the way, and so many others that touch and listen to your podcast to understand that they too can create daily in spite of.
That's right. And one of the strong themes of my life has been sort of questioning the status quo, which is, the defiance kind of thing, and not assuming because something has always been, it must always be. Does it make sense for me is the question. Yeah. So, even though sometimes, yes, I should have listened, at the same time, that's part of how we learn.
Yeah. It's not that you should never go back into that water. It's just at that particular time.
Yes.
Love it. Well, LeAura, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Okay, well, as a baby boomer, so I'm probably one of the older of your guests so far. I was 12 in 1971, and there were so many amazing groups and music produced in the 70s and 80s. So it's really hard to say any one, but the one that fits my philosophy then and today would be just the title, as well as the enthusiastic music of Joy to the World by Three Dog Night.
Yeah, definitely Joy to the World. Love it. It connects. I told you, amazing audience, I could drop the mic. She can definitely do this. Wow. All right, well, LeAura, hey, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Yes.
LeAura, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Well, as parents, we teach our children, but otherwise, no, for it is the recipient to its role to also choose.
You heard it, amazing audience. You heard it. Are you married?
Yes.
All right, so you have children. How many children do you have?
Yes, 2 internationally adopted children.
Oh, wonderful.
They are young adults.
Wonderful. Do you believe in God?
Yes. Spiritual, not religious.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes. As a family, we're working 7 days a week right now in the business building phase. So for fun and relaxation, we usually watch 2 to 3 movies on the weekend. So probably about 3 to 6 hours. Very selective.
All right. And what about screen time? The phone and or the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Definitely more than 8 because I'm a content creator. So right now it's probably more like 12, but it's hard to even tear myself away because I love so much what we're doing.
Yeah. LeAura, well, after 1,001 conversations, like I can tear myself away, right? In 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook, the name of it being called Yours, which stands for Your Own Unique Real Self. And the idea is you answer questions just like these that are self-reflective, that help you connect with your mission, if you would, that I call Your Own Unique Real Statement. If you had to share with us, and I think you shared it at the beginning of the podcast, but I'll still ask one more time, your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are. What would you say that is?
So I have several, and so I'm going to, we have a family one, and then we have a sort of a family business mission one, and my own is very, very short, and that is said sort of like in Yoda voice from Star Wars, soar you must.
This is beautiful. LeAura, again, great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yeah, so to immerse in work that matters to you, even if you can only do it 5 minutes of a given day, spend time with it in your thoughts, and then do something for that 5 minutes. We have to clear the pathways of opportunity for ourselves by daily doing.
Even when you fall in the darkest of waters, soar you must. Soar you can. Right? LeAura Alderson, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you so much, Angel. It was great to be here with you.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.